So Mikel Arteta is pushing for the signing of Martin Zubimendi in 2024. A deal could be done in January. It could also be done in the summer. But Mikel Arteta says he's one of the priorities for Arsenal in this year. So the big question is, why do we want Martin Zubimendi? How would he actually transform Arsenal? And why I think Thomas Partey will be leaving and Martin Zubimendi is going to be the perfect replacement in that midfield. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Let me know in the comment box below. Do you like Martin Zubimendi? Do you rate him? Have you seen him play? And how good is he? If Arsenal lose Thomas Partey, probably in the summer, probably in the next season to come, is Martin Zubimendi the right replacement, like Mikel Arteta says? Is he the right player to sit in that midfield and solve our problems? Now, Baby Busquets, Zubimendi, is one of the players that have actually become really renowned for their ball-winning technique in the midfield, but also distribution and passing accuracy. So he's Spanish. That means that passing is already in his blood. And Mikel Arteta being Spanish as well, we might see a combination of manager and player that we have not seen before at Arsenal at the moment. Declan Rice is a very good player for me, but I don't think he's a Thomas Partey. I don't think he's a very good ball distributor. I think he's a classic ball winner, one of the best ball winners in Europe, if not the best in Europe. But when it comes to him going to distribute that ball, releasing Saka, releasing Gabriel Martinelli, there is a problem there. So Martin Zubimendi could be the player that Arsenal are just lacking right at the moment. So this is how Arsenal are lining up at the moment. Of course, Declan Rice at the best of the midfield with Kai Havertz, Martin Odegaard either side of him, Martinelli wide, Saka wide, and Gabriel Jesus as the lone striker. We're playing with the kind of a box midfield where Kai Havertz is drifting up top a little bit and Alexander Zinchenko is dropping in this midfield alongside Odegaard and Kai Havertz, right? So it's kind of a box midfield right about there. But Thomas Partey, before picking up that long-term injury, Mikel Arteta had actually found a way of playing Thomas Partey and Declan Rice. And that way was Partey starting out at right back, inverting into midfield, and allowing Declan Rice some more time and some more space on the left, on the left of the attack, especially where Kai Havertz is playing at the moment. What that did is it allowed Declan Rice to play his natural game as a box-to-box player, a ball carrier, but also coming back to track back and win the ball. And then it allowed Thomas Partey to dictate the midfield in this area around here. And that is where Declan Rice is playing at the moment, and things are not working out very well. So Thomas Partey, if we can call him just this number 71, we could say Thomas Partey right there. So Partey was playing here, especially last season, and that is where the beauty of his game is. He wins the ball back in this area and is always looking to either release Saka or either release Gabriel Martinelli at a very quick pace. That is something Declan Rice doesn't have to his game. That is something that we are lacking in the team right now. It is why it is very predictable. It is why every team knows how to play against Arsenal and how to defend against us. It's a simple technique. What they do is they sit back and they wait for Declan Rice to take ages and ages on the ball. When he finally releases the ball, it's too late. Saka has been marked. Gabriel Martinelli has been marked as well. So the role of Thomas Partey in this Arsenal side is clearly undisputed and it is clearly unprecedented. What Thomas Partey does, so if you put Declan Rice out for a moment and you name 75 number 5, who is Thomas Partey, what he does is when he picks up the ball or when he is on the ball right here, Martin Odegaard can shift across into the attack. Kai Havertz or Granit Xhaka last season could shift into the attack as well. Arsenal then could have an attack of 5 players. This season, we are actually not seeing that. We are actually attacking with far less players as compared to last season, and that means that when Kai Havertz drops a little bit and Odegaard drops deeper as well, you only have 2 players on the front line because Gabriel Jesus is not this kind of natural striker, so he's either going to drift inside the midfield or drift out wide. So it means that you only have 2 players that are trying to make something happen in these wide areas, and that is Gabriel Martinelli and Saka. So what teams are doing at the moment, they're doubling up on Saka like this. You get 2 players on Saka, and they're also doubling up on Gabriel Martinelli as well, just like this. So 2 players on Martinelli, 2 players on Saka. And that means that even though Arsenal have so many players in this midfield, there is nothing we can actually do about it, because teams are forming a very pretty decent low block, and none of these players is really trying to break it down. And even if we break it down, even if we we get the ball into this area, Saka can't get to it, and Martinelli can't get to it as well. So that is the problem we are having at the club right about now, and that is the reason as why we are actually not scoring goals. So how do we solve it? How do we solve this dilemma? 2 solutions. One is Thomas Partey, but Thomas Partey cannot stay fit. He's going to come back, play some good football for 10 games, and then pick up another injury, a long-term injury, probably. There is a solution, and Mikel Arteta knows that solution. That solution is Martin Zubimendi at Real Sociedad. So Martin Zubimendi, he's been called Baby Busquets, and we all know the reason why. If you brought him into the side, so let's say he is number 3, we swap out Declan Rice and we swap out Partey as well. Baby Busquets, Sergio, Martin Zubimendi would be sitting at the best of the midfield, and it would definitely give you what a player like Rodri gives to Manchester City. When Manchester City don't have Rodri, they crumble, they struggle. But Rodri doesn't really score a lot of goals, and he doesn't assist a lot. What does he do? He wins the ball back, but most importantly, he keeps everything alive. So if Arsenal can get a player just like him, then maybe we might just get everything right in this new system. So with Martin Zubimendi, we would line up in this way, kind of a 4-2-3-1, or we could line up in a 4-3-3, but I think predominantly it would be a 4-2-3-1 with Declan Rice around, alongside him right in this pivot. You'll have Kai Havertz maybe swapping out of the team, Gabriel Martinelli wide, Gabriel Jesus maybe in the team as well, Saka in the team, and Martin Odegaard in that number 10. And the real reason as to why Declan Rice plays in an 8 is to allow us play in number 10, to allow us have Martin Odegaard as a number 10. I would love to see it. I would love to see either Odegaard or Kai Havertz in that number 10 with Declan Rice B to B, right? So the qualities of Martin Zubimendi are very different from the qualities of Declan Rice, both on the ball and off the ball as well. So the way he wins the ball is very different from Declan Rice. The way he passes the ball, when he passes it, and how he passes it are also very different from Declan Rice, and why, therefore, Arsenal are lacking such a player. So let's get back to the tactics ball. In the middle of the park, we have Martin Zubimendi. Alongside him is Declan Rice in the number 8, and of course there is we have Martin Odegaard, who is shifting across into the number 10 just behind Gabriel Jesus. Saka will be a little bit advanced as well, and Gabriel Martinelli will be a little bit advanced as well. Now what this does, because you have a reliable player who can form a pivot with Declan Rice, or allow Declan Rice to go further forward and join up Martin Odegaard in attack, it allows us to have more players in attack, and it allows us to have more players in more advanced positions. So what we have seen this season is Odegaard dropping a little bit deep, and therefore Saka becomes isolated high up the pitch. So what Saka does, he drops a little bit in these areas just to make sure that he's closer to the team and he has got that enough support. When he drops here, these areas are areas known for causing trouble to the opponent. Around here, you're not going to cause a lot of trouble for the opponent. It's the same thing with Gabriel Martinelli. When he's around here, he's not causing a lot of trouble for the opponent. So that means that Arsenal have the ball all the time, but in areas that really don't hurt the opponent, in areas that are not threatening. You will not score goals when your wingers are this deep. You're not going to create good situations when your wingers are actually this deep. So as Martin Zubimendi, that is one of the problems he can solve. He can come here and man that midfield alone as a player, pick up the ball, distribute it and redistribute it, and we can have him manning and managing this whole area around there. So you could have him as a reliable, fullback position. And if he's right here, it means Odegaard will be a little bit advanced. It means Declan Rice will be a little bit advanced. Martinelli will be advanced, and Saka will be advanced as well. And that means that the opposition have to deal with more players, and therefore they can't get 2 players on Saka, 2 players on Gabriel Martinelli, 2 players on Declan Rice, and 2 players on Jesus, and 2 players on Odegaard. So they simply can't get that, because we will have 5 players in attack. If they get 10 of their players and they try to double up on our attackers, it means Alexander Zinchenko can find space. It also means a player like Ben White can come and find space, right? So that's the first advantage with Martin Zubimendi. He's got the ability of Thomas Partey to just come and, dominate the midfield, but dominating from the opposition's half. Just dominating from right here. The other advantage that you get from a player like Martin Zubimendi, and why Mikel Arteta is obsessed about him, it is how and when you release your wingers that actually matters. And I think with Thomas Partey, you will have realized that Arsenal scored a couple of very, very, quick transition goals as compared to when we have Declan Rice. And this is the reason. So Declan Rice is one of the players that are really, scoring a lot of, not really scoring, but, passing the ball into the progressive areas. He has had more progressive passes than any other player in Europe. But this is my problem with Declan. These are his passes. So he'll pass it into Gabriel Martinelli in that area. He'll pass it into Jesus around here. And he'll pass it into Odegaard around here. And he'll pass it into Saka around here. So most of these passes are actually progressive passes. Most of his passes are going forward. And most of his passes are actually trying to drive the team forward. But they're slow passes. They're passes that don't penetrate, and they're passes that come at a very, very late time. So with Martin Zubimendi and Thomas Partey, what you have is a player that has got the ability to get the ball and play it into Saka, play it into Gabriel Martinelli very quickly and very efficiently. He's a risk taker. Partey is a risk taker in tight positions. Martin Zubimendi is a risk taker in tight positions as well. It's the reason why Arsenal are struggling right now. It's the reason why our wingers are struggling. You've got to get the ball to them earlier, and you've got to get the ball to them with the right amount of force, with the right amount of timing, and with the right amount of speed. I think that is what Partey did very well for Saka. So literally, it means that whenever the opposition lose the ball, Partey is going to be looking for that most advanced player on the pitch. It's either Saka or either Gabriel Martinelli, depending on the kind of system we are playing. So if you have Martin Zubimendi, if we get Martin Zubimendi, it means we can be deep. We can play a little bit deep. We know Mikel Arteta at times plays deep, so we can play a little bit deep in such a fashion, and then we can allow the opposition to come to us. And what this does, we did it with Manchester United last season and at the beginning of the campaign. When you allow the opposition to come to you, and when you allow them to have position, they're exploiting themselves at the back. So literally they will create a high line at around there or around here. So with players like Thomas Partey and Martin Zubimendi, you are literally able to exploit this high line. Of course, with Alexander Zinchenko in mind as well. They have the ability to pass the ball over long distances very well. So what Partey does and what Zubimendi does is they pass the ball into Saka. They would pass the ball into Gabriel Martinelli quicker, faster, and more efficiently. With Declan Rice, he picks it up. He's going to either pick a very comfortable pass, a very safe pass, closer to him, or he's going to pass it to Martinelli or Saka, but in a way that it doesn't push them forward, right? It also matters how the player receives the ball and how the ball is given to the wide player. If you play him the ball that invites him to go forward, he will go, he'll keep on going forward. If you play him the ball that invites him to cut his run and cut back and play the ball into the midfield, or try to get into the midfield. That is what he's going to do. So with Declan Rice, however good he is, it looks like he's set to be a box-to-box at Arsenal. It looks like he's set to be a ball winner, but also a ball carrier on the left-hand side. Allowing Gabriel Martinelli to get into those dangerous areas, allowing Kai Havertz to get into those dangerous areas, but also protecting them as well. But playing as a single pivot in this Mikel Arteta system, it doesn't really seem very well. It doesn't seem it's the way to go. But let me know if you think Martin Zubimendi can actually fit in at Arsenal. I think he can. He's a very intelligent player. He's got the ability on the ball, very good eye for a pass, and is so calm and concentrated. Now, Barca want him, Man City want him. That's a conversation that we can have. But at the moment, if Arsenal gets him in, he is a real good signing.